Deshaun Watson's thing's supposed to start today. Does anybody know what time that is?
No,
Not sure.
We were looking online. We couldn't find the time, but he's going to get indicted. I mean, I
think we have a ways to go.
literally the NFL is acting as if this thing's ending today, which maybe it will, by the way. And I think that is the dream scenario for Deshaun Watson and Deshaun Watson supporters, and also Deshaun Watson this entire time saying, "I'm innocent. I'm not doing it. I'm innocent. I don't want a gag order. If we do a settlement, I would like to be able to speak about it. I don't want there to be any of that." I guess that was something that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So Deshaun has proclaimed his innocence heavily for a long time. So maybe he'll have so much evidence today that the grand jury won't indict him. But from the tweet that Tone Diggs found on the internet yesterday, a lot of lawyers out there saying, hey, if it gets to a grand jury, they'd indict a ham sandwich if they could.
Exactly.
Because the big question is, did the ham sandwich do something? We don't know.
We'll find out.
Let's go to trial and figure it out.
He's got like 8 of his accusers are testifying. And there's like 4 other people. And there's just it just seems like in the legality world, they're going to say, we should probably find out more here. Not today, but at some point. So is he on the block still? Who knows? Tone Diggs, it's a wild time in the NFL, Pop.
Yeah. It's also a wild time because there's rumors going around that the Steelers might be interested in Deshaun Watson, and what will today have him. They're not the only one. I assume there's a lot of teams with eyes on the grand jury today to see what will happen, because if for some reason he doesn't get indicted or whatever, there's going to be some people who are interested in his services.
Carolina is allegedly just going to go ahead and just whatever. Hey, you want Christian McCaffrey? You got it. Here you go. And I guess Russell Wilson is, that trade is probably what other teams will tell Houston, like, hey, look what Russ already went for. That'll kind of set the bar.
Yeah.
And that was what, 2 1s, 2 2s, a 5th, and 3 players.
Yes. Right.
And it was Noah Fant, Shelby Harris, and
Drew Lock.
Drew Lock. So backup quarterback who's potentially your starter, a staple of the D-line, I guess, and a leader. And then you got Noah Fant, who cannot be happy that he got traded out.
Devastated for that guy.
He was a
Iowa
first
guy,
round.
though,
Yeah, he was
so-
a first round pick a couple years ago.
But that kind of sets the market right there, right? For Deshaun Watson, you'd assume. And who knows if they know that they got leverage if this thing gets thrown out of court. That's what today would mean, right? Just get thrown out. This is not going to trial.
Yeah, just a civil case, so they could either settle it without.
But the civil case also becomes pretty difficult to prove if the law. No.
Says no.
Civil law. Yeah, if the law one gets thrown out, the civil one is probably looking good for Deshaun Watson as well, right? Because normally it's civil, then law.
Yes.
Right? Isn't that how it normally
I believe
goes?
so, yeah.
The civil, normally it's like a civil suit that happens. I don't know about normally, but in situations that I've seen on Dateline, there is civil suits that happen that the prosecuting attorneys actually sit in and watch the civil suits, and then they decide whether or not they want to press charges for the law side of the entire thing.
Yeah.
Now, who knows if somebody loses a lawsuit, they then go into a civil suit, I believe, afterwards. Maybe that is what this might end up at. But if it gets thrown out of the law court, I believe the NFL will be like, all right,
Yeah.
here we go. People might be pissed, but you didn't break any laws.
Right.
They'll figure that whole civil thing out going forward. That might happen today.
Two questions for you. That first one being that there are reports that no matter if the law side of it gets thrown out, that there still will be a suspension because players.
What's
have
that called?
Yeah, it's not just
Criminal.
Criminal.
Yeah,
There
there
it
you
is.
go.
There it is.
If the
Jeez.
criminal side gets thrown out or whatever, there will still be a suspension, so that'll come into play or whatever. But for Houston, is your only leverage because why would they get what Russ got if everyone knows that he's never playing in Houston again? Is the leverage just other teams bidding for him?
Yeah, because no, we don't know that, right? I mean, Lovey said whether Deshaun's playing for us or somebody else, and I guess they've been open in saying, "Hey, Dougie Davis Mills is our starter," and everything like that. And a lot of people have come out with narratives. He's never playing in Houston again. That might have been Deshaun's people pushing that. Houston could just sit on that thing. They paid him last year. I assume they're like, "Yeah, we are okay not giving him up." He is a valuable player on the field. Very valuable. Very good at the football. Unbelievable at the football. And if the off-the-field stuff just gets wiped away and it didn't happen, and by the way, if that's the case, I hope everybody that was, proclaiming him as a terrible person also comes out on the other side and say, hey, Maybe he wasn't the bad person in this entire situation. He got killed in this whole thing. We want justice to be served, however it all went down. But he is proclaiming his innocence heavily. He's very good at football, and Houston knows that. The Houston Texans aren't going to give him up for anything less. No. The Houston Texans will rather pay him for another year of him not playing and not showing up than trade him away for something that isn't a good deal, especially when they're trying to build a whole new program down there. Casario ain't no fool.
No.
Jack Easterby's been praying on this.
That's right.
And the last time he played, he was top 5 in like every quarterback category. But for the Colts, you kind of hope that he is available, just because if he's not playing next year and this criminal case keeps going forward, then the Panthers are going to go all in for Jimmy G, and that's just another quarterback off the list for Indianapolis. So you're kind of, or at least from my perspective, from where I'm sitting on this side of the table, the Colts need Deshaun Watson strictly so Jimmy G doesn't go to Carolina and they still have a shot at him.
So how about this? Russell Wilson goes for 2 1s, 2 2s, a 5th, and 3 players. Like
He's 33? Is that right?
Yeah, well, I think 32, 33.
Mm-hmm.
Same age as JC.
Great baseball player.
Great
baseball player. But
Still might go play.
If Deshaun Watson, especially for the Rockies now.
Yeah. Oh, I need him.
Why was he not at that game last night? It was Warriors Nuggets. You would assume that since he was in Denver, he would have went to that game. Was he there? I didn't see him. I just didn't see him.
There are rumblings that pitcher wasn't actually in Denver. It was just the background.
Oh, the signing of the deal?
Yeah.
Oh, did it like in L.A. or Seattle or wherever it was?
Not the plane picture?
No, just that picture in general with the Broncos thing in the background. There was people saying it wasn't in Denver.
So the Eagle had landed in another city. They acted like it was Denver. And then they put a fake wall behind him, acted like it was Denver, signed a contract, and he wasn't in Denver. Because the Warriors Nuggets was on national television, you would assume that would have been something like, hey, welcome to the city.
Right.
I didn't see that. I might have missed it, but I saw Jokic court to court, or baseline to baseline, shake some people. Layup where he just threw the ball. It didn't even look like it was, and it was just like the most controlled thing ever. And his big ass just kind of stumbled back the other way. I was like, God damn, that dude's an avatar.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah, he appears to be great. They got Russell Wilson over there. Anyways, does that set the standard for Deshaun Watson if his case, which we don't think is possible, but if that thing gets thrown out today, is that 2 1s, 2 2s, a 5th, and 3 players? Do you think that's what Houston will be looking for Deshaun Watson? And how do you think?
If I want more, don't you think they would want more? I mean, Deshaun's what, 28, 27?
Never won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, and everything else, does it knock his price down at all? Just even if he comes through the other side on all of this?
He's going to get suspended. Everybody thinks like at some point he's going to get suspended, even
he's
if
getting deposed today too, right? And the alleged.
They're saying he's going to plead the 5th. I believe he's
going to plead the 5th and not say anything, right?
Yes, that is what I believe it was said earlier. Now, what happens if those questions, though, are so? Because the last time somebody had a deposition in this case and they were pleading the 5th, the questions were wild.
Yeah.
That, like, the questions were painting the entire narrative. And I guess that's what good lawyering is.
That's what a good lawyer do. If they know they're going to plead the 5th, they have to get the whole story out through your questions, I guess.
So why did they publicly say that he was going to plead the 5th then? You're almost, I guess everybody assumed he was going to do that.
They said that he's doing it because he has to, because the criminal is not done yet, so he's not going to say something.
Isn't today criminal?
Yeah, but so he said they're not going to say something in a civil deposition that can be used today in the criminal or whatever.
Oh, so those two are both happening today.
Yes.
So this is a massive day for Deshaun.
Huge.
He slept 0 hours last night.
None.
I would assume.
Yeah, tossing and turning.
Give me Ambien, 2 of them, 3 of them. Because he has been very prominent that he did nothing wrong, right? I mean, isn't that something that he's been very, that's why this.
It seems like he's been fighting this from day one, right?
Yeah, now granted, that's a lot. That's a lot of allegations. Very,
That's
very,
why today
very
will be
serious.
interesting.
Yeah,
like what happens after today.
Well, the NFL, some people in the NFL are like, well, after Friday, we'll be able to trade for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think so, right? Like, I don't know if that's the case. I don't know enough about laws. I watch documentaries and stuff like that, I guess. But aside from that, this is going to carry on for a long time.
Wait, so hold on real quick. Deshaun's being deposed for the civil part of it, and then the girls are being deposed, or they're going in front of a grand jury to see if they're going to bring it to make a case out of it?
Yeah, I did not know that this was 2 different happenings, but I did read that there's like 8 of the defendants are probably speaking to the grand jury then. If I must have misread it, but these numbers are. Go ahead, Tone.
And Diggs, what did you say?
So, yeah, they're both happening today, and Watson's legal camp has tried to hold off on all the depositions in the civil cases until after the grand jury's decision today, so that they can't use anything used that he says in the civil depositions in their criminal case. So that's why he will be using or pleading the fifth in everything today.
Should you be saying all that publicly? I don't know. I mean, those lawyers probably better.
What did
than
Diggs say about a grand jury, though? He said something.
ham sandwich.
Ham sandwich.
They'll
I just want to hear
indict
Diggs do it.
They'll indict a ham sandwich. Well,
Wasn't
Tone,
my line.
Yeah,
It
Tone
was my
tried to
lawyer.
deliver it again earlier today.
My lawyer friends.
Yeah, it's his lawyer friends on Twitter.
It's been used in like 50 movies too.
Really?
I didn't know that. Did you know that?
Jerry Maguire.
I don't know what movies, but yeah, I've heard it. Of course.
We just hope justice is served whatever way.
Yeah.
But if it is thrown out, Deshaun's on the move this afternoon, I think. If this whole thing, and teams will just be, Carolina's just going to give him the whole team for what it sounds like. Hey, just get him back here, please. Pittsburgh's allegedly like, hey, if this gets thrown out, we will be in. I would assume the Colts, they won't trade within the division. They'd be in as well.
Tampa?
You would have to think everybody would almost be in on
Well,
this.
and